I've touched wood. I've never had a nightmare interview, and I hope I never do. Most people are great. Most people that I've met have been really nice. I guess you could say there was like the Libertines ones and the ones with Pete have been the most difficult because Pete is erratic and chaotic in his nature. So Pete's ones are the ones where it's like, most normal interviews happen between 9 and 5 in a day in a pre-organized place. Pete's interviews are meant to happen at like 10. It rolls on through the whole day, then the evening, and then you get a call at like 2 a.m. and it's Pete being like, oh, I'm really sorry, but I couldn't do the interview today, but I'll call you in the morning and we'll do it. And I'm like, okay, cool, great. Please let me do it, because otherwise I'm going to get in trouble. And then you get a text, like one in Glasgow that I did. I literally got woken up. I was staying in a hotel. This is after they played Barrowlands. I was staying in a hotel, and we were meant to interview them all together. It didn't happen. I did the other three all together, and it was like, sorry, Pete's somewhere. We can't find him. And then I get a call. I get woken up at like 6 a.m. and it's him, and he's like, do you fancy doing the interview now? And I'm just like, yeah, where? At this point, I'm desperate. And he's like, come up to my hotel, room 200 or whatever. And I do. And we do this interview. It's just, I knock on his door, and I thought we were going to do the interview in his hotel room. And he answers the door, and he's like, shh, my girlfriend's asleep. Girlfriend Cassie's asleep. I don't want to wake her. Let's do the interview in my van. And he's got a sort of Breaking Bad style van, camper van.
Right.
That is bad. This camper van is about 300 years old. It goes about 10 miles an hour. The windscreen's broken. It's got parking tickets all over it. So this is like the most like battered camper van ever. This is in Glasgow. And
what year is it? Sorry, Matt.
2016 this is.
Okay, right.
When they reformed for Hyde Park. It was a couple of gigs, warm-up gigs they did before Hyde Park.
Right.
And we eventually meet about an hour later at his camper van. And it's amazing. They're staying in a 5-star hotel. Every car in the parking lot is like Mercedes, like Rolls, Jag. Pete's camper van stands out a million miles. We do this interview, and he's like, oh man, he's driving, and he's not a great driver. 6 a.m. He's definitely not sober, and he's driving while swigging from a bottle of Smirnoff Ice, a big bottle of Smirnoff Ice. And I'm just like, oh my God, we're like getting up on pavements and stuff, we're going to get arrested here. And like, they're probably going to search his caravan, and they're probably going to find stuff. I don't know what's in here. And it's just chaos. And we eventually did this interview somewhere in Glasgow at like 7 a.m. And it was one of those moments where it's amazing. Suddenly you sit him down, and he's full of clarity and depth and humanity. He's a lovely, lovely guy. I do want to stress that. He's a really, like, I've always found him to be really nice. But his life is just chaos, absolute chaos. So getting that interview is like a 24-hour process.
Yeah, that sounds mad.
It was crazy. But they're all like that with Pete. Like I did another one at like 5 a.m. in his hotel room after a gig in London. And getting out of the gig venue, he just walked out the front door 10 minutes after he finished playing. So it's like thousands of fans everywhere. He hails a cab. Luckily, one was passing. And we get into the cab, and it's like Beatlemania. Kids like throwing themselves over the front of the cab. I've never seen anything like it. Then we get to the hotel, and he just sort of won't do the interview straight away. So he sort of drags on. And finally, I get him up to the corridor at like 5 a.m. and he just sort of collapses on the floor. And he's like, I've forgotten the key to get us in the room. So we're stuck outside his room. Finally, someone comes up, Katia, I think his girlfriend, with a key to let us in. And this room is like, it's like a bomb's gone off in it. There's like broken glass on the floor there. People's passports are everywhere for some reason. There's typewriters. He's been doing blood paintings. And I'm like really wary of like stepping on something and like cutting my foot or something like that. But then again, we sit down on the bed and he's got a guitar and he's strumming away and he's full of amazing words that tumble out of him.
Yeah. Do you think he kind of thrives in the chaos kind of thing?
I don't know. I don't know how happy he is.
Right.
I think maybe he's happy. I think there's an Oscar Wilde story called The Happy Prince, which Carl always references, which is about someone. I think it's about someone whose life is chaos, but in the heart of it, they're perfectly happy. Maybe he's like that. But I mean, he should be happy because he's written some great songs over the years.
No, definitely. It seems to be a bit more settled now. That Libertines are still playing gigs and stuff, aren't they? So
I think he looks like he's in a good place. I know, like the tabloids are on him about his weight and stuff, but fact is, drug addicts are thin, and the fact that he's put a few pounds on suggests to me that he's probably in quite a good place, drug-wise. And I'd rather that than him be a heroin addict for the rest of his life.